from the opera Porgy and Bess. And this is what happened. The downtown streets of this city have lots of black vendors. One became popular in the 20s. His name was Samuel Smalls. He was called the Goat Man. In his childhood, he had polio, causing him to be crippled. So he was often seen in the downtown streets on a cart pulled by a goat. He went to jail for assaulting a black woman. Her name was Maggie Barnes. The black said that she was the real Bess, and this was Smalls' girlfriend. Smalls had a wife. He told his wife she stole from me. So a white man, DeBoss Hayward, he was a part of one of the well-known white families in the city, the Hayward family, wrote a story about Smalls and called him Porgy, indicating fish. George Gershwin, he was Jewish. He was from New York. He came to Charleston to study the Gullah Geechee culture, and he wrote the opera Porgy and Bess. Now, before we continue, have any of you seen it? The opera. I see one person. Okay. Now, all this is going to relate to the next stop. And this is what happened in the opera. It was a hot summer evening. Everybody gathered at Catfish Shore, this black tenement. The ladies are cooking, cleaning, chit-chatting, the children playing. The men got themselves involved in a crop game. Roll them bones, roll them bones. Bess comes in with her boyfriend, Crown. Crown and a man named Robbins got into a fight over the game. Crown killed Robbins with a cop hook. And once the murder was committed, everybody scattered because they knew soon the white detective would be there to make an arrest. Crown ran off the highway, committed the murder, and went to Kittiwah Island, known today as Kiowa. Bess had nowhere to go. Porgy took her in, and they had fallen in love. Robbins has a Salsaburian funeral to pass the saucer to collect money for the bird because he did not have bird insurance. Robbins was given a decent burial, and Catfish Shore comes back to normal. Porgy and Bess in love and content. Porgy now sings one of his famous songs, I Got Plenty of Dutton. Then he says, and Dutton's plenty for me. He says, I got my gal, that's Bess. I got my mule, that's the goat pulling him on the cart. I got no misery, I got my Lord. Then everybody begins to see that Porgy's changed since that woman come to live with he. He ain't cross with Chola no more. But ain't you hear how he and Bess all the times singing in their room happy? Now in the opera, that line is sung this way. Porgy's changed since that woman come to live with he. He ain't cross with Chola no more. But ain't you hear how he and Bess all the time singing in their rooms happy? After the church's picnic scene and the hurricane scene, Crown returned to Catfish Shore to reclaim Bess. He and Porgy got into a fight, and Porgy stabbed him with a cutlass. He now goes to jail for killing Crown. And while in jail, Bess goes to New York with sport life. Porgy returned looking for Bess, was told she went to New York. Then he said, New York, way that. Mariah, the town's matriarch, tells him that New York is way north past the customs house. But he breaks down. He says, oh God, I got to find her. And the opera ends with Porgy on his go-kart on his way to New York to find his sweet, sweet Bess. So now how to know how that gal named Bess won that man named Porgy, yeah? So now you know how Porgy won Bess. It's what we said to you in Gullah. So the story Porgy and the play Porgy, the Gullah Virgin, were written in the 1920s. The opera was written in the summer of 1934 on nearby Folly Beach. The opera was first performed in Boston, September 30, 1935. Then Broadway, October 10, 1935. The opera was not performed in Charleston, the city of his birth, until 1970. That was 35 years later. It's because of segregation. You see, in the opera, there are 4 white characters, the others are blacks. And the family of George Gershwin said that this opera would never be shown before a segregated audience. At first, it was talk of having an all-white cast, but painting their faces black. And the family said no. When the opera was shown here in 1970, that was one of the first times blacks and whites sat together publicly. It was in 1970. That's the year the schools officially integrated in the state of South Carolina. The local black group that participated in that 1970 production I was a member of this group for 35 years, the Corliers Music Club. This all-black group was founded in 1959. This group decided to organize because there was a need to organize a black group that would sing classical music. Now, I was a member of this group for 35 years, since the 1980s, and we dissolved as a group a few years ago. So the group first started singing arranged spirituals. Secondly, excerpts of this opera. Thirdly, hymns, anthems, and blues. And lastly, unarranged spirituals, gospel, and Gullah folklore. And when we presented the excerpts, I played the role of Spotlight and the Honeyman. I was the narrator for the group, and I was the business manager for 20 years. Mrs. Breland started playing for the group in 1959 when she was 25 years old. Now she's 90, everybody. And she was one of those ones, she never left the group, no matter what problems the group had. You know how people get mad, leave, come back, leave again, come back again. She never left. Now, and so we decided to dissolve as a group. It was hard recruiting people. I was getting tired, and some of the others, and nobody was getting any younger. So we dissolved. And now, then Miss Breland got to the point where, you know, she started missing notes. I mean, she's 90 years old. 90 years old now. And she used to play all the time when all the Greek fraternities and sororities get together. They call it the Golden Varsity of Greek. Now, she was a sharp musician, and she was one of those ones that would tell you years ago, that note I just heard, I don't see that in my book. Okay? But she could play her sorority hymn by heart, but then she got to the point where the other fraternities and sororities, she would not do so well, so then other people began to play. Sammy Davis Jr., Dorothy Dandridge, Pearl Bailey, Harry Belafonte starred in the 1959 movie of Porgy and Bess.